You know, I never thought these words would come out of my mouth, but this is the truth about Donald Trump and Rosie O'Donnell. Let's take a trip through the way back machine, all the way back to 2006. You know, such an innocent time, and at this point in time, Trump still owned the Miss USA beauty pageant, and he recently had to sell it for a political reason, but that's not really important. Miss USA Tara Conner was having a seriously hard time. She was addicted to drugs, and thanks to the advent of social media and the nonstop paparazzi onslaught, it became a very public issue very quickly. And there were demands from various people for her to either step down or have her crown and title removed. People were shocked, disgusted that Miss USA was a drug addict. Many said it reflected poorly on the country, on women, and pageants as a whole. And Trump, for whatever reason, decided Tara Conner deserved a second chance. He held a press conference where he announced he would allow Conner to retain her title, and in exchange, she agreed to attend a drug rehab facility. And many felt Trump did the right thing, while others did not. Rosie O'Donnell decided Trump did the wrong thing. And O'Donnell had recently been given a spot on The View, the popular daytime TV show where a group of women essentially sit around a table or couch and talk about the issues of the day. O'Donnell called Trump a snake oil salesman, said he was a liar, said he went bankrupt, and misrepresented Trump's fortune. So what did Trump do? Well, Trump did what Trump does best. He punched back, and he punched back hard.
Well, Rosie O'Donnell's disgusting. I mean, both inside and out. You take a look at her, she's a slob. She talks like a truck driver. Rosie attacked me personally because I was very happy when her talk show failed. The other thing that failed, and this was a real monster, and everybody was suing her, was her magazine. Her magazine called Rosie was a total disaster. So I loved it. I gloat over it. I think it's wonderful because I like to see bad people fail. Rosie failed. I'm happy about it. She's basically a disaster. Well, she called me a snake oil salesman. And, you know, coming from Rosie, that's pretty low because when you look at her and when you see the mind is weak. I don't see it. I don't get it. I never understood. How does she even get on television? I believe Barbara made a terrible mistake putting her on, and I think Barbara's probably paying a big price. If I were running The View, I'd fire Rosie. I mean, I'd look her right in that fat, ugly face of hers. I'd say, Rosie, you're fired. We're all a little chubby, but Rosie's just worse than most of us. But it's not the chubbiness. Rosie is a very unattractive person, both inside and out. Rosie's a person that's very lucky to have her girlfriend. And she better be careful or I'll send one of my friends over to pick up her girlfriend. Why would she stay with Rosie if she had another choice? She's trying to use ABC and The View to get even with me. But with me, we fight back. I'll probably sue Rosie because she doesn't tell the facts. As an example, I'm worth many billions of dollars. Now, she said I was bankrupt. I never went bankrupt. So probably I'll sue her because it would be fun. I'd like to take some money out of her fat ass pockets. I actually think they ought to look at her whole life and see where she's coming from because I think she's got some very deep-seated problems. Perhaps it should be Rosie that goes to rehab. Rosie is a loser.
Too brutal. Well, considering Rosie insulted Trump in front of her massive View audience, I think it was probably pretty fair for Trump to retaliate. And since Rosie stopped talking about Trump for several years, I'd say he was successful. And part of the reason they stopped baiting one another was due to a 2007 kind of formal peace between the two. Rosie came out strongly against the Iraq War. Trump said, "On this one, I think Rosie should win, but not because Rosie is much herself. I think anybody that's against the war in Iraq is the winner of the fight, because to justify the war in Iraq, only an imbecile could do that," he told Extra. And in 2011, it resumed. Trump, who had previously said he has a hard time forgiving people, learned about Rosie's engagement to her, at the time her partner, and he tweeted, I feel sorry for Rosie's new partner in love, whose parents are devastated at the thought of their daughter being with Rosie, a true loser." She retweeted, "Wow, you were an ass." Trump then called Rosie O'Donnell's new show on the Oprah Winfrey Network a total disaster and recorded a brief video from his office calling out O'Donnell again. In August 2012, Trump sent out a tweet of condolence to Rosie when she suffered a heart attack. The tweet read, "Rosie, get better fast. I'm starting to miss you." In 2014, after her heart attack, Rosie was going to be back on The View, and Trump sent out two tweets roughly an hour apart. The first, "Rosie is back on The View," which tells you how desperate they must be. It is the standard short-term fix and long-term disaster. And the second, Rosie is crude, rude, obnoxious, and dumb. Other than that, I like her very much. This prompted Rosie to give an interview to the Daily Mail discussing the years-long feud between the two, and Trump retweeted this interview saying, "No offense, and good luck on the new show, but remember, you started it." This is kind of a common theme with Trump. Jeb Bush insults Trump. Trump insults Jeb until he's out of the race. He's a counterpuncher. He says this all the time. So Rosie soon left The View, citing her recent heart attack as the reason she left. And Trump said, "Well, it's very sad what happened to The View, and I predicted it with Rosie O'Donnell. It would fail." I guess this prediction is correct, but I mean, she's a total train wreck. So let's see what happens, and I hope it works out well. I like the show a lot, but let's face it, Rosie is a loser. And now we get to the good stuff, the first Republican debate of 2015. Moderator Megyn Kelly, who we now know was given orders from the media mogul Rupert Murdoch to take Trump down in the first debate. She asked a question about the war on women. The question was, "Mr. Trump, one of the things people love about you is you speak your mind and you don't use a politician's filter. However, that is not without its downsides, in particular when it comes to women. You've called women you don't like fat pigs, dogs, slobs, disgusting animals, and then, in a moment I believe will come to define modern American politics, Trump cut her off and said, 'Only Rosie O'Donnell.'" The crowd laughed, the situation was diffused, and the feud was reignited. And since then, really, even though people say it was reignited, it's kind of come to an end, except for when Democrats bring it up in debates or television ads to try to make Trump look bad. You know, he called a woman fat. But remember, the feud started when Rosie O'Donnell called Trump a liar, a snake oil salesman, and accused him of being bankrupt, all while saying a woman with a substance abuse problem shouldn't be given another chance.